So I was poking around looking for a palladium chart because palladium's coming unwrapped to the north. It's just going insane. It's making history as far as I know. But I was going to double check it on barchart.com, and of course they're miffed that I've got the ad blocker running, but we'll just muddle through. So I come up on this chart, and I'm trying to imagine if you had $5,000 and you were going to go trade, I guess, penny stocks. This is $5 a share. You're in 5 grand. You're all in. You got 1,000 shares. It's been ranging for 5 years, and it's trapped in this. You could either claim it's accumulation or distribution. Now, I think there's no difference here between this and Forex. I mean, this could go to zero actually. So you're actually risking technically if you keep playing back and forth. Of course, if you're on the wrong side and you panic, of course, if you're willing to lose the whole 5 grand, this thing's got to go to zero basically. That's just how it is. Now, if you're going to put on, if you can even trade options on these, I don't know if there's enough liquidity that there's options being done on top of this one. I don't even know. I just first time here at the stock thing. But if you get in and out here and you just back and forth and you specialize, I guess, in this, like basically a 300 pip, I guess you could say. If you're going to go for how much, how much it's costing you, all right? So the thing is that I see the same pattern here that I do in the other situation. I see the exact same setups. I see the same vacuums. I see the same. Of course, this is 5 years of data, and I think a lot of people, when the market came up to here, they said to themselves, "Okay, that is a big deal. This $6 for this mining stock, I think. I don't know what the fuck." And imagine if you have buy limits sitting here at 380, 370, blah, 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 blah. Okay, you really like to buy down here. It's crazy. It's like support. Um, this is 5 years of data, so don't forget that the guy that thought, oh, it's going to go to the moon, we're going to come back here and retest in a perfect cycle, because I'm running cycles too, in Renko, and I put a little touch of this here would have crushed him if he loaded the wagon. Of course, but he's only down to 3 grand on the account, or 4 grand. Now, does he add to the account, buy more, and realize the error of his ways, that this is support and this is resistance? Can you handle these swings? Are you in too big for these kind of things? And if you do think that they're manipulating the market, like I just saw another guy talking about, well, they run it up here because they're going to trap all these. They're not trapping everybody there. And there's people that just trade to this price pulse, and that's it. They're out. Like they're like, okay, that's good. I just made my percentage for the week. That guy steps aside. There's not this conspiracy against, and the fact that that it can be said they don't want to chase their own trade, but you don't. You're just, if you have a trade it's planned out. It doesn't matter, right? You're just willing to take that risk and see what happens. You're not attached to like every trade has to work out. But it's funny to look at the stock stuff and think about, if you had a $5,000 Forex account, the flexibility, or you could do incremental here. I don't know what these stock traders are going to charge you to unravel that position in a small positioned account. Every time you pull the trigger, I'm assuming on stocks, every time you pull the trigger, you're getting your ass kicked on commissions. I don't know, $9 round turn. I don't know. And if you're able to range trade or just trade breakouts on stocks, I don't know if that's even worth the money. I wouldn't be doing that in a commodity market. I think I'd still well, maybe you do a small position like the commodities. They were charging $50 round turn. That was exchange fees. Broker was $35 round turn. I mean, you had to be in big to justify that. I mean, that's like pretty bad, right? Plus, that you couldn't trade on micro. You had to trade a full size commit. You need, you know, 10 grand on the account just to trade like one contract. And then when Palladium went nuts, the first time it went nuts, the margin requirement was $56,000. They're like, yep, you know what? And it went berserk to like 1,000. Now it's at like 16, so it's making new highs. But you know, you look at these charts and you say they all look the same to me. I don't see a difference between Forex and commodities and stocks. It just looks like a fucking train wreck all day long, regardless of the instrument or the thing. Time frame would matter. Here's 20 years of gold fields. Oops, I gotta get my drawing off. So here's 20 years of it. I don't know if it's been around for 20. It's my first time here. I'll go for the full chart here. Yeah, it's kind of tiny. But yeah, we don't want to give away any secrets here. The prices, you know, I don't want to get sued by the exchange. Oh, see, it's had its heyday. Well, there you go. So now how does this look any more fucking tradable to you than, and this is honestly my first time through here, time frame matters. How is this any more fucking tradable? It's got a lot of volume. I don't know. This is probably like people fucking made a fortune on this, and I bet people got killed on this. I'm sure some poor soul out there bought this fucker at $20 a share with this hard-earned money, thinking, dude, it's in an uptrend. I'm just gonna turtle trade it. Just keep adding to the longs. Yeah, okay, dude. You know, but you'd have to trade like 10 stocks or something, because maybe you're wrong on that one. Uh-oh. They're coming after me because of my ad blocker. Now I'm choking the system. I've also got MetaTrader running in the background. It's a little baby laptop, so it's very off. I'm off the grid right now. I'm long the dollar yen pretty heavily. I keep adding. Every time I look at the chart, it looks better. When the market's not moving, I'm just loading up with tight stops, because if it takes off, then I don't touch it. I ain't touching it then. Every half hour, here's 10:30. So boom, we just turned 10:30 a.m. and the week's over. So about 6 hours left. I'm thinking by noon, things will pulse. We'll have last mad dash to the end of the week door here. 3 hours left of drama, and then you're dead. You're back into this doldrums of a doji where people don't want to think about, well, what now? But this is the time to have a scheme for the dead market and have that trade plan available. Always be thinking, well, we're either going to tumble up or down. If we go sideways too long, that's just unsustainable. So it's just not possible. That's the first rule. It is, nature cannot stand still that long. Something's going to bump it, whether it's news or whether it's just the fact that people are like, holy shit, it's not getting any cheaper. Well, what the fuck? There's people selling into it that have to buy back. Well, the whole thing's churning, right? It's just this massive everybody, and it doesn't have to be everybody, because if there's an order imbalance between what people want and the fill rate, that's going to stretch out the wave. That's the cushion for the wave, is the fact that, yeah, there's going to be lag, and you're going to get fucked out of that trade, and you're going to get slippage because nobody can bum rush the same fucking trade window as far as quoted prices, and legally all the regulation about, what was that, like, I was cracking up when I heard that these guys are busted for market manipulation. It's cracking me up. It's like, dude, if I owned a factory and you owned a factory, I'd be like, dude, hey, you want to get together on parts? I'm like, yeah, fuck, you're kidding. Who wants to pay top dollar It's so silly. I mean, they got fucking yeah. And who gives a fuck? Is it really affecting your life? Like you're worried about the overnight LIBOR rates? Well, yeah, you don't understand, man. You really on the cutting edge moving. If you're moving that much money, then that's just a fucking. That's like when the mafia is doing garbage, recycling or whatever they do. Uh, everybody's got to have a gig. So, but we gotta wonder, like, for your needs, if you feel like stocks are a safer route, and people are like, yeah, stocks, hey, listen, at least I'm in the gold market. Look at this fucking stock here. So I rode this from, I got in like Hank told me to get in. We got in way back here, and look at the volume kicked up too. Look at this thing gap. Look at the gap run on this puppy. So look at this nice, beautiful, but the same story. It's always the same story. We have the accumulation phase, sideways market, sideways market, the last stop hunt. They took some booger out here. And then, oh, it's a real breakout. And once it gets past this, oh my God. So people go berserk. You're up, screaming up into this thing. People are probably cashing out. I don't know, that's not a lot of money. You'd have to be in like a big position, I think, here. So it's not a lot of leverage here either. Um, Look how this is support, right? So we have support at $5. Everybody's like, a buck, sure, 50 cents. But I would certainly be long from this wick is my buy signal. So this is all laid out in stone before we get to here. We're always going to buy these so-called deep discounts that go way back to here. In fact, if I really was going to trade this, I'd tell the broker, buy me 1,000 shares on each. Put 20 grand in the account and say I want to buy 1,000. So I'm going to dollar cost average into the 50-cent handles. And I'm going to buy this plunge. Okay, so there was some guy that said he's going to go trade stocks because he can't handle Forex. It bugs the shit out of him. This kind of what they call like a trough or a giant rectangle. I mean, this is quite the situation. This being the big high. I'm sure people sold into that. Now, shorting into that wasn't really until later on in this chart when it really kind of came back off the ceiling. I wanted to go to that 20. So here's the thing. The view here, we're zoomed in. I mean, the future is unfolding at a rate that's not written in stone. So because this market took a pop to $6, if you zoom out, need more chart options. The pop-ups alone are just, you want to jump out the window with these pop-ups. You're like, okay, I guess this is my ruler for depth of history. I always found this Java, whatever we're running here, to be pretty brutal. Okay, so I want to do the big look back. I have to wait for this to catch up. Okay, so I'm going to see how far back I can go without... I think there's like a custom monthly chart I could boot up here. Okay, that's quite a bit of data there. Wow, okay. Well, that's 2 years. Well, it looks like it fell out of bed here. Ouch. So, I mean, this, well, big volume here. What was going on here? So I'm curious to look at that. Now, look at this thing. How is this different than Forex? This looks like the depegging of the Swiss franc there. Like, this looks pretty brutal. I mean, if you're really in this thing with leverage, wow. But I think if you take a look at this volume here, wow, it has like no correlation to anything. Just a huge spike there. That is amazing. Let me see if I can get to the monthly chart. Yeah, let's go to the max view. That's only 6 months of data compressed. That is insane. Like, I mean, which stock are you trading, by the way? I mean, you got leverage here because it's $5. So look at this 25. So here's a nice trade. That's why I look at Forex. It's like a penny stock because it's about leverage. Look how brutal this market is. Here's a classic retest of the launching pad back here. So this is definitely the serious auction. This is support. We are trapped under the floor. Dude, if this ain't a Forex chart, I don't know what the fuck is. When people say, well, it's a gold chart. It's a gold stock, so it's going to look more like Forex. Oh, you know what? Dude, bring me any chart on the planet, and I can scan the time frame to show you all the fucking bullshit on there. You should be able to see what you consider to be noise. One man's noise is another man's scalp. Like, it really depends. Now, on this thing, you'd have to say, well, gee, you're going to have like, if you're going to go all in, short, long here, you got to have some deep pockets, I'd say, to some degree. But I don't see stocks as being any different. Look at this thing just rock bottoming down here. Like, people love it down here. Fuck, they're buying that shit at 5 and dumping it at 15. Look, there's some guy out there trying to make $10 a share on this thing. So he gets in here and he makes $5. He makes 10, he's out. And it's got the handles in here for you already. There's the old trapperoonie. Oof. But look at all this trading in here. If you're only trying to make $1 a share, $3 a share, look at all the trading. So this is what it probably destroys people's minds. They buy here and they're like, oh my God, I'm up. And then it comes back and they're like, I'm barely up. And this is the torture, right? The torture never stops. But then there's other people that are like, oh, I've been making $5 a share up and down just like an idiot. Maybe they get options on this, I don't know. Then we have this historical eclipse of this, just whoa. I don't know what the volume is there. Oh, they're gonna hack me a check. Okay. Please hold. Okay, so they're gonna kick me out. I know it. Oh, take a knee. Wait, please hold. Wait, I want to see the volume here. Now the volume is heavier on that sell-off, I would say. The volume starts to really come in here, heavy here. So are these well, smart money's buying this. Well, always, right? If this is a 5-minute chart in Forex, how the fuck is this any different? And if you do this logarithmic chart, now there is a logarithmic version of a stock chart that would kind of take this insanity and calm it down. I think it would amplify this because, or maybe it's the other way around. I can't remember how logarithmic compresses the data, but here we have a linear pip grid, so to speak. But yeah, you could just go through instrument to instrument. I looked at this stuff. I looked at stuff that barely trades where it's just a dash. And if you run a line chart on that, all the structures are all the same. Okay, you had the same situations. Now, maybe if gold goes up, palladium's leading the metal market right now at 1600. And this big vacuum here, this big void, maybe that's going to fill. It filled over here. Don't forget that this whole meltdown, this beautifully smooth meltdown, the dead cat bounce, the blah, 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 same apex of the triangle, we explode. I mean, this is crazier than Forex. I mean, in a sense, of course, I don't know what I'm on a monthly chart. I'm really talking about like this, all the doji stacking up in this triangle wedge. If you're going to do a breakout strategy of confirmation, you never get filled on the long side. You're filled on the short side, and you're like a fucking hero as they clean out this price. But when they get below the floor here, it comes back to this Oh wow, deep fucking discount. People getting in here, and it's just barely right now. Maybe you're long this thing right now today. Um, and I wouldn't make any kind of assumption that, well, if gold goes up this way, you know what? I don't know because I'm looking back. Um, I don't trade this shit, so I don't want to say either way, but let me go down to the time frame here. I'll say 2005. Okay, so the heyday of gold. We were up there. Okay, so gold came screaming back. This is another thing people would say, well, this is a bellwether, see? Okay, gold just came screaming back, and you could do this until your brain blows up. You could look at all the mining stocks in gold, and then you break out your gold chart, and you're like, let me see if I can correlate this. And you can make insane assumptions and correlations that may never unfold. It's like you're going to have like a get or done trade plan. Like, what do you do every day? Well, you wake up. So if you have a market order available that you can launch and go, oh, this looks like I can nibble on this fucking, yeah, I'll accumulate this bitch. Give me some at 5, give me some at 450, give me some at 4. I'm done. Walk away. Ain't nothing going to change the fact that if you want this fucking stock and you think the metals are going up, and I don't know if you could, underneath this, you could do this, and I've done it. You stack the gold market underneath this chart and try to pick through, and I've done it. Just scan visually, stared at it for hours. Is there a correlation here? Can I make any type of 80% rule that when you see this, that, here's smart money against the dumb money, and you can see the smart money, so therefore, why don't you take that trade? Well, it's because how big are you in that one trade, and what is the outcome? Are you going to stare at it? Are you in so big you're just kind of really watching it? And because it's $60 a tick or $60 an increment of every time it fluctuates, does that $60 matter to you? Or would you rather see it fluctuate $20 and be up, 100? And what can you handle as far as watching your account? And of course, in the gold mining thing, I get the fact that if you buy this stock, you have this feeling like, hey, I'm in the gold market, And if that makes you feel good, then that's all that matters. Whether that thing makes money or not, maybe it's not going to go to zero. If you're buying at 5, okay, it's been to 25. Are you buying low? Yeah. And or are you going to wait? Oh, wait till it's 10. It goes to 10, and then I know it's good, and then I'm going to buy. And you might be able to ride it to 15. I'm just saying, for me, if I was going to do anything, I'd be like, yeah, just get a little bit here. Let me just buy a little bit, and then we'll see what happens, and let them come into those order banks, and let them. So I buy some at the market on limits. And the last thing I'm going to do is in Asia. We go into Asia. I'm going to pick a currency. If I have to trade more than one pair, I'm going to go into the euro, the dollar yen, which might be more volatile, and I would put on a volatile hedge, one that's designed to make 100 pips with a 20 pip stop, and then you have to get really extreme ratios because you need to pay for the traps. You're going to be trapped on some of these tickets, so there's no free lunch. If you get into the market with a 100 pip stop, what are you going to do with the rest of it, right? So if you bought a $100 position in a nano account and you're in the market, you could literally, now somebody who's never traded in their fucking life, somebody who doesn't even know what a standard lot even means, if you showed them, okay, you're buying $100, $100, that's pretty good. Oh, it's only 10 cents for $100. And they could get their brain around that, and they would probably be able to do it. And they think of it as a stock. Forex is so highly leveraged compared to stocks. I mean, unless you've got a leveraged stock account, right? And so for whatever, I don't know what those paying for that, but if you're going to invest in stuff, and on the stock world, you're always going to buy low and sell high, right? I guess unless you have a margin account you can short, they're gonna. I think shorting you need margin. I think in the because then it's like a futures trade. But I don't know. I'm not a stock guy, but I still never see a difference in this. And if I snapshotted any kind of, like if I went to the 1 hour chart, which you can only imagine, right? Do they let you look at the? Okay, here's a daily chart. That was the max view. So yeah, I mean, you could say all sorts of things about the. I just went to the 5-day winners and found this thing. Okay, people that shorted this, they made like 10 cents here on the daily. Pretty tough on the daily there. I'd rather be in Forex. I mean, you have to trade pretty heavy to make. Um, that's the daily chart. Looks pretty dead. So time frame matters. I mean, you can look at any currency when it's doing this, and you're just there's no trade. I mean, come on. What are you gonna do? You have to be in. Look at this big spike in volume just before it gaps. So the big up, and then wow, just opened right at the. So that must have rallied into the end of the week there, the end of the month. Everybody's all giddy about this gold market. It's so funny, man. I don't even know. Okay, you gotta do your own zoom back here. They take you to like a zoom in start out point. I really don't even run this stuff. Oh, look at these. Now here's a decent entry on the daily chart. So here was a nice raid, I guess you could call this. So here was your top that was supposed to become a bottom, and it went wackadoodle here because when it went above that 480 on the daily, it's like whoa. And look at this spaz attack here. Does this look like FOMC on like the 5-minute chart on maybe the British pound? Like, how is this any different than any other fucking market you've ever seen in your life? And look how they raid this wedged this big vacuum back here. They're like woohoo! And there's people that probably like me that bought here, bought here, bought here. That's how I would do it. I'm just gonna dollar cost average is the oldest trick in the book. But I would say I would martingale in. So here I'm really buying a lot. I'm buying 10 shares. I'm buying 20. Just do a linear add-on every 10 cents. I'm buying 10 more shares. I mean, the broker probably going to crush me on the commission. So that's the reason why you'd want to just go to something where you can trade high leverage and then just fine tune the. If you don't have a stop tighter than 20, maybe 15 if you're really good, because if you're trying to get in a nice fat position, it's probably around the corner. You're waiting for the market to plunge into your orders, or you're waiting for them to fill your confirmation stop entries. Your goober plans are stacked up. There's nothing wrong with the goober trade. Let's face it, the world's running on Bill Gates wrote Windows. Come on. All these things work. It's just like what fits your lifestyle. Are you going to get up at 3 in the morning and trade at the market? Yeah, you could have that on your tablet. You roll over in bed, you hit the button, bam, bam, you're scalping. And then you got like maybe this dumbass stock trade in the background. You feel like a civilized person. I trade stocks, and there's meetings you can go probably, and there's these stock things are incredible. There's like 1 million people in the room, and then stock options. Don't forget that, and you could just have people trade straddles on dojis. I mean, obviously that's the trade plan for the doji is to do a volatility play, and you could, if you lost one leg of that. Nice thing about options, same thing. If you're going to do a hedge, you have to have good ratios because you're going to lose one leg, guaranteed in the options. It's guaranteed. It's getting at the market. If you put a straddle or whatever in the options or something, or butterfly or whatever they call it, or spread eagle, pegged, I don't know. But that's another thing. And how long do you ride it, and do you kick yourself when you see it engulf and take out and go to historical highs? And you can make fundamental arguments, though. They just got a new supply of, they just got new equipment, and so we're thinking, but all of a sudden, somebody went on strike here. Like, people go on strike, and that's going to affect the supply and demand, and that's the markets are doing this because of that. And Trump tweeted this whole thing about Trump tweeted, and the markets went berserk is the biggest fucking joke. I mean, the market's going berserk. Once they start going berserk, and they start it becomes like a scorched earth on the up and down side because the volatility is so high that you can't ride a bull when it's already just slamming around. You have to get on while it's in the gate, right? So when you're in the doji, you get on there. Let's hope. And if they kick you off, they kick you off. Or you're getting filled on the thrust method, where as they plunge into your stop bank, that's already got pre-described something to take off 20% off out of the gate. The first 10, 20 pips, you got to take like maybe 20% off, because what if they slam back? And if you don't have any kind of money management trailing stops, which I don't, I have to take that first 20%. Now the rest of it, I could say I could put on a hedge. So that's my new thing, is to put the hedge on and say I'm gonna fuck with these stupid ass insurance. I really hate the idea of not picking the best. I like to pick the direction. Like most people, they want to trade in the direction they think it's going to go. The scenario they think is going to unfold, but when you put on the hedge, you're letting go of having to decide that, because the market's going to decide for you. It's the layering of the hedge, the buy and sell stops, or pure sell stops. So you can have a counter trend confirmation entry. If the market's screaming up, you're running sell stops. As soon as it backs up a little bit, some of these tickets have to cash out. There's no fucking way that's going to come screaming back. It may come screaming back in the same velocity. Okay, an hour and a half straight up. It can come down in 1 hour and give back half of that. The market can do anything, honestly, especially when it comes into historical. In the stocks, I guess the cool thing about the stock is what the currencies kind of have so much history now, in a sense of not deviating too much. Where a stock like Microsoft or Apple, or even Bitcoin, something that's what it really is. Bitcoin's like a stock, because you have like shares that are supposedly in a ledger, and that's the only intrinsic value to that, is that you have a claim. And also, it's now that it's stabilized, I think it's going to just sit there in like $1,000 range for the next 5 years, because you got Trump coming. Probably Trump wins and everything's stable, and other stuff is going to go nuts. Though I think inflation is going to be the ultimate. When they people, I don't know if people are still going to be mean to Trump when he leaves office, but they will blame him for inflation because he's a liberal financially. He's a tariff guy. He's this, he's that. So that's a possible scenario. Certainly, this palladium, I don't know what's going on there fundamentally, if the palladium mines are in some country that's under attack. I don't even know how that works, but that could be possible driver to that fundamentally. But it is crazy. You could get lost in stocks. There's a Russell 2000. You could go down the stock rabbit hole. The nice thing about Forex, in a sense, is if you just think about euro, dollar, dollar yen, British pound, it's kind of a simple world. There's not too much to really. It all becomes about what time frame are you, because it's a 24-hour market where you're getting these gaps on these stocks where people are like, holy shit, like that thing's just gapping in your favor, which I guess that's what you're not seeing in Forex. But okay, you could just go to Globex and trade the currencies or whatever you trade, crude oil on whatever. I don't know if it trades 24 hours. I'm sure it does on some platforms, at least during the week. And you just look at it and you're like, that's just like another fucking chart to me. How would you make money from that chart? And of course, can you imagine building an algorithm for just this one, stock? That would just be hilarious, right? Like, I got this dialed in just for this one thing. You really worked hard on that. Yeah, I did. A lifetime, and now the market's changed its kind of attitude, and I'm getting clobbered now. I just really not happy about it. So I can't imagine building an algo just for this one stock or the gold stocks. I mean, now I know there's systems and people out there doing that, and a lot of this stuff it's as ridiculous as pure electric cars. I mean, there's no way that with all the stocks out here, and I don't know if this is a big deal, this stock, but apparently um, it's a leader on the board, tote board. So I just went through, I got futures here, I got the currencies. I wanted to look for, and I don't know if that's what exchange that is, because that'd be over the counter stock maybe, I don't know. I'm sure they're charging. Look at commitment of traders. Oh, this is always a classic. A lot of people use these tools in here. Let's see what the commitment of traders is here. The old commitment of traders. Oh, so and people, this is the fundamental view of trading. We'll look at the commitment of traders. Oh, they're going to chase me down for some kind of subscription. Wait till I buy a new computer, and you can just totally make my life a living hell with the new computer. That would be wonderful. Okay. Oh, look at wheat, soybeans. Look at soybean oil. Now, this is something I used to trade because it's it's a decimal system. Uh-oh. Look at this thing. Come on. Same story. It's 3 years. It's 5 years. This here. Commodities cheap. Is inflation coming? What's going to be the leading edge of this that's going to show us that? This is more bullshit, this commitment of traders stuff. This is supposed to be some big deal here. I guess when these get far apart. Wow. How do you even trade that? So that's kind of dead in the water. That's the heyday back here of soybean oil. So I'm a 20-year chart of it. I can't find the time frame. There's too many indicators on here. Oh, that must be like the commercial long and short on the bottom or some nonsense. I'm searching for the time frame. Okay, so that's like tiny font. 2007. So that was the when gold was spiking. So look at the volatility's really dried up on this. Nobody wants soybean oil anymore. No demand, no supply to get rid of, nothing. Is this going to go up? Is the world coming to an end yet? Not fast enough. Got the commercials and people really think if they use all this data, the small speculators and they're losing money, so let's go with the commercials. Should we go with the swap dealers? Oh, I go non-commercial. Like, which line do I ride again? It's funny how nobody ever talks about that. Anyways, and look at this wackadoodle chart. Man, look at this high here. Almost, it kind of overshot the runway on when it became a bottom. Beautiful trend line here. Here's your break, trend line. Come tap, smack into it. Psycho triangle. I don't get how this is any different than Forex. I really don't. Here's the big stop hunt. Here's all the range traders. It's getting awful quiet here. So, is this going to flatline? It's able to flatline like this for quite some time. Big trap. Rip it back. Come back to the double top. It looks the same to me. This is like a British pound going nuts, but this is the gold market spiking. All commodities are going up, right? The commodity index, I'm sure, has remnants of this scenarios in it. Got to fill that hole. You're just stuck up in the air here. You're just drifting in a wedge. But fractally speaking, you've got the double bottom here in a wedge. This is before all the drama, before it takes out this high and just goes nuts. I don't think it's ever been that high. So that's what's going on. Palladium's doing that right now. I don't know what else is doing it. I didn't look around, but it just hit me that Palladium was on the cutting edge of this inflationary thing coming in, I suppose. I don't know if it's going to go hyperinflation and go hard. It's probably going to be soft. Everything's there's so much liquidity. There's so many things for things to spill into now. You have Bitcoin. There's a huge buffer, and it's like a staging area. So nobody's really stuck at one place, right? People have investments in real things. People have gold. People have Bitcoin. People have a car. People have a house. People can close their bank account and go fuck you and go over here. They can put their money under the mattress. They haven't outlawed cash yet. People are like, oh, they're going to outlaw cash, a cashless society. You know, yeah. So people are choosing that. They're choosing Bitcoin. They're choosing the cashless society. So, but then people feel like they're a victim. Oh, they're going to get rid of cash. Oh, you still have bullets and you still have gold bars, and you could bite into a gold coin and go, here and then buy something, or you could just swap something, or the barter system shit. I've seen that. People, they go business to business. They're just like, yeah, we're just going to barter. Yeah, just the whole fucking accountant sets up the whole rig. It's just, if you have somebody that you have a $5,000 a year accountant, I'm sure he can recommend how to save you 10 grand. He just paid for himself. Now you're up 5 grand on that trade. It just goes on and on. But it's like, how complicated do you want your life to be? Do you want to be a trader, or you want to be an investor, or do you want to say it's okay to do both? Are you going to be a scalper, a sniper, swing trader? There's no, like, whatever seems to default, I suppose. Then again, how much would you consider to be risky? A $5,000 stock account or a $5,000 Forex account? And so I can see why the stock traders say, well, if I have a $5,000 Forex account with a 501 leverage, then if I'm going to use, and I watched that Wayne McDonald guy say that he was invested. So he's running his Trader's Way platform, and he's using $500 in margin. He says, I've invested $500 in this trade, and I'm like, no, you haven't. Like, if you don't have a stop, you've invested the whole fucking account. I mean, you're literally in. That's what you're using to rent the trade, or whatever you want to call it, the margin requirement that's there for you to still be in the trade. I'm sure that if you got down where you only have $400 left in the account, like, they're going to start peeling off positions for you. So to say you got an investment of 500 is kind of strange, but it's almost like allocated. You've allocated this for that purpose. I guess you're investing, but I don't look at like intrinsic value. Your margin's not really, it's a stake and a claim and a trade, but it's not like stock. Because in the end, you have a stock certificate, possibly. I don't know if it's digital now, but, or a soybean contract. Of course, these you have to get the fuck out of. You can't just hold that position unless you want to get soybean oil delivered to your house, supposedly. I don't know. I'm sure somebody would stop that before that happened. They would just have to pay for the end price there, and it's pretty bad at the end if you watch the expiration of these. And that's nothing. They would say, well, Forex has the news, it can change the market, a tweet can do this. Is it really any different in the stock market? In fact, when somebody tweets something, it affects each market differently. So that's why people want to diversify. But then if you diversify, do you have time to look at all that shit that you own? Do you just want to be a guy that trades one instrument? Or do you want to be a guy that owns a margin band? 28 currencies. Of course, it's like watching paint dry, so I think you probably have time to get to this shit. I would have a dedicated computer with a big screen and just wouldn't touch it. It'd be like, that's all that thing does, because I don't want to be fishing around, loading up 28 charts, waiting for it to boot. Always on. Just pick it up. It's ready to go. Get a 10-inch tablet, 11-inch tablet, put all that shit on there and go, okay, can I do this? Can I really do this? I don't know who's really doing it. Of course, if you're constantly tweaking your algorithm, what the fuck? Now you're breaking that rule where it's like, oh, now you're system hunting. So it never ends as far as what could possibly go wrong. And if you're constantly changing your size and the time of day that you trade. So yeah, getting in at the end of the day. Under trading the market. So low frequency trader, that's what no nonsense is aimed at. His creed is, it's better not to lose money than to lose money. So he's saying, if you're going to lose, you're saving money by not losing money. Granted, if you do not trade the whole fucking account and you make one trade that's a winner, you can claim, literally, statistically on paper, that you're killing it. Haven't lost this whole year. Not one losing trade, dude. I mean, we all know how you can cook a book or make a claim. Never losing trade. But to find the sweet spot between the frequency of trading and if you can't be awake 24 hours a day, or you have somebody else taking the other side, the other time session. And so a robot could do I'm sure there's a way to write a robot that says if the market's down 50 to 60 pips in an hour, so the last candle, I hope this is a buildable bot. I have to put this up on that, I think it's called upload or something like that. How much does it cost to build a robot that's going to say, if the market's down anywhere between 50 and 100 pips in an hour, buy at the market with a 100 pip stop. Now you clone that robot and you make about 10 of these bots. One's going to buy if it's 80 pips down, one's going to buy if it's 40 down, and maybe 3 different stop values. Maybe you have a 20 pip stop, a 40, a 60. And you have greedy take profits, and you back test. Well, you don't back test, you just got to run it. If that's how you trade and make money, you should be able to automate that one particular trade. But I can't imagine having a strict, this is what I do. I watched a guy do this trade, and he's using this discipline creed. I'm going to keep my target. I'm not going to move my target. Well, his target was never hit. And in all his transparency, he plays this whole thing out. Dollar Swiss trade. I think it's Nick the Trader or something. His Dudley Do-Right of trading. So he stuck to his plan your trade, trade your plan. But you can't be ridiculously greedy. Like if you see that it's down 100 pips 2 hours in a row and you're short, you may want to just go, I'll go take that off and go home. Like if you were planning on making 50 and you're up 150, you fucked up as far as you got to get out now. Like if you're in really big, you just can't, because if it's that wild, sure, it could keep going. It could also just retract, drift, and retrace. Now, depending on what time of day that's happening, and certainly if you have super deep orders that started 150 pips deep, and you look at the end of the week and you didn't get filled on anything, in terms of no nonsense and all these people that praise him because they're not losing money, you're not going to get filled on those. If you're going to buy 200 pips deep all week long, and you'll see how hard it is for the market to push into these prices up and down. It's a ranging market. I mean, it may get there in a month. Is it going to get there in 5 minutes? You can't run a 5 minute script, but you can run a 15 all the way up to a month. And I have back tested the weekly. In other words, it's throwing out tickets, and I don't know if this is even possible because I think I had about 10,000 tickets running. I think you would have to. Like, it was literally putting out every 4 hours. It would launch a just a blind grid, 50 to 200 pips deep with a 300 pip stop with really greedy targets. Like, it's a hard stop, hard take profit, but just like wham, bang, bang, and on, in certain market situations, that one particular script made quite a bit of money because it kept stacking up for a week. So it's dropping them 6 a day, and they last a week. Well, in a week we could get down 200, 100 into that sweet spot, and inside there, embedded now, the complexity you could put into that script. And if they're going to stack up that often, maybe they launch every day. And so you could set the frequency of drop, and you will get these situations. But honestly, the best way to do it is to look at the voids on the chart and try to capture a pent-up zone where the market hasn't been for the limit entries, and for the stop entries, confirmation breakout, you're waiting for the market to calm down. Calm down. It's going to be okay. You're going to be all right. And that's the lull, and this is the point at which people are like, oh, okay. Now, it's the end of the week now, so there's really not much price pulses left. I'm kind of hoping for my using the hope tactic on my trade here. I'm hoping dollar yen goes up a little bit here at close. I don't see the bum rush. I want to see it's almost 11:30, and that's what I want to see is like this kind of panic run. But it is amazing the amount of work that people put into being right, and then they think they're just going to build a fucking tiger tank or a bazooka, and they're like, well, what I'm going to do is, since I'm so right, I'm just going to go in so fucking big on one trade. And I think that's what is disturbing, how to trade all these little positions is going to be. Well, they haven't kicked me off the site yet for stealing their data. But look at this kind of just ranging bullshit here, constant range on the and look, the commitment of traders here is like so shallow. I guess here where it's out of whack, you get in, but aren't you getting in there anyways? It's the new lows, Do you need another piece of data? Here the commitment of traders is all flat, and then it explodes. So explain that, right? We get in here when it's crazy. I don't know, when it's wide. I mean, I'm sure there's a rule for everything. Everything in its place. So I'm going to go to my current system here. I got the gold on the right. The palladium is, I'm sorry, I got the gold and palladium, same price. Oh, wait, no, this is palladium. Why does it say 15? Okay, I thought I loaded palladium on here. Is gold really? Sorry. Yeah. So I had the palladium market up, and there's not a lot. The brokers let you trade this now. Let me see if I can find it. I know I put it in here because at the same price now. It's funny because it's caught up to it. It's actually a little. It's $150 above gold, which is just insane. So this could be the beginning and the end, so to speak, here. And so that's why I went to the internet for the different quote. I wanted to get the exchange quote on commodities here. So that's why I stay in one platform. Here it is. I'm not used to navigating bar chart. I always think it means Pennsylvania. It says PA there. So yeah, this guy going psychotic here. It's just going ballistic. I don't know what the news is about this. I'm gonna go 20 years of this thing. Just astounding. Palladium insane. Look at this thing. Just coming unwrapped here. So here was the big. This is when the it was like 50 grand for margins here. Yeah, right here. So I was trading during this. So here's where I actually was buying this stuff to use it. At $80 an ounce down here. And here was the spike that blew everybody's brains out. This run to 1,000. So that was the high water mark. And then, so this was the big deal. And of course, I'm sure people were just like, holy shit, look at this. You know, nobody knew what was going to happen. On this, at this point in the chart, nobody knew. And when this sold off, people were like, holy shit. Right, so here's where gold was. You know, right here, gold is at about 270 an ounce here. And here, look at this rock bottom price. That is insane. And what are people using palladium for? What in the fuck? I'm kind of curious. What does that mean for supply and demand? What is that? So I'm kind of curious about the news on that, and maybe there's strikes in the palladium mines or something, or you know, who knows. Anyways, that's my rant for the day.